Good morning, everyone. It's my pleasure to welcome all of you to this morning's exciting announcement at Vaccine and Infectious Disease Organization of University of Saskatchewan. We all are on Treaty 6 territory and the homeland of the Métis. I always like to give an example about the type of work we are doing in partnership with and guidance from the First Nation, the Métis, and the Inuit people of our country. Today, I will share an example about the health research which some of our professors are doing to advance the health and wellness of indigenous communities. Dr. Bobby Henry works with Métis Nation of Saskatchewan, focusing on the health of the Métis people in this province. Dr. Alexandra King and Dr. Malcolm King lead very large programs locally and nationally to help work with the First Nations communities to look after the health issues that specifically are germane to those communities. So we are very proud to be active participant in the truth and reconciliation work that our country has engaged in. My name is Baljit Singh. I am the Vice President Research at University of Saskatchewan. I have the pleasure of emceeing today's event. I welcome Mr. Terry Duguid, MLA Jimmy Martin, Her Worship Cynthia Block, the Mayor of our city, to this morning. As you all know, University of Saskatchewan has made some tremendous contribution by doing the type of research that makes the life of Saskatchewanians better and also sending those research discoveries around the globe to make a difference to the lives of people in far-off places like Bangladesh, Germany, India, Brazil. We are very proud of that. University of Saskatchewan has also grown and operates some of the globally leading research centers, and Vaccine and Infectious Disease Organization is a stellar example of that. VIDO was established 50 years ago. Through its focus on protecting the health of the animals and advancing the economic enterprise of animal food production in Western Canada, it has grown into a premier vaccine and infectious disease research institute globally. And that's what we are doing today to celebrate the work that VIDO does and also to look at a new and an exciting announcement that we will be hearing about this morning. We are going to kick off the program starting with Dr. Nicole Lurie from Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innocations. Dr. Lurie is the executive director at CEPI. She is the director of CEPI for the United States. Dr. Lurie had a very distinguished career. She was the Assistant Secretary of Department of Health and Human Services in the United States, which is a presidential appointment. It was through that role she led the response to H1N1 influenza in 2009. At the CEPI, she also looks after the research and development investments that CEPI makes into infectious disease threat mitigation and development of vaccines. Dr. Lurie has also been a professor at University of Minnesota, and she's been a professor at a global policy think tank, RAND. It's my pleasure to invite Dr. Lurie to give her remarks virtually to us today. Dr. Lurie.
Thank you so much, Honorable Member Minister Duguid, Honorable Martins, our VIDO friends and colleagues, and the Saskatoon residents and the media in the room today. I'm delighted to be able to join you, even if virtual, to celebrate our new expanded partnership with VIDO and to advance research on its promising pan-sarbecovirus vaccine. And for those of you who were in the room, who were more lay people, pan-sarbecovirus means all of the viruses in the family that cause COVID, basically. This tool could become a critical part of our future arsenal when responding to coronavirus epidemics or even pandemic threats. And it is truly an honor to join you in Canada. Canada has been such an integral supporter of CEPI's work, with Global Affairs Canada having supported us since our launch in 2017. Now, if we cast our minds back to this week 5 years ago, the world was in a very different place, and I don't want to invoke more PTSD than we already have. But we'll remember that this was the time when this deadly, never-seen-before coronavirus was rapidly starting to spread to all corners of the world, first silently and then very loudly, leading to the declaration of a public health emergency of international concern on the 30th of January. Without a vaccine immediately available, our world was turned on its head. And while safe and effective COVID vaccines were developed at record speed and came to the rescue, we then saw this emergence of an alphabet soup of new variants, Alpha, Beta, Delta, Omicron, and so on. And we were always a step behind. These variants weakened our countermeasures, they weakened our confidence, and they vastly prolonged pandemic suffering. But it was this challenge that catapulted a new scientific approach to the global stage. Knowing that the virus behind COVID is just one of 7 recognized human coronaviruses, and that more are likely to jump into the population in coming years, CEPI and partners really pushed forward a program of work that moved away from the traditional approach, which is, creating vaccines that target an individual virus one at a time, instead to try to develop an all-in-one coronavirus shot. And in fact, CEPI began this early work with VIDO, believe it or not, in 2021. Following early positive data, their vaccine research has just continued to grow. So now, with this $24 million grant, we cement our support for this pioneering approach. With the new funding, the team will be able to further advance and test their vaccine. The clever design works by presenting fragments of several coronaviruses together to potentially induce a strong immune response. And if it's successful, this vaccine could kind of serve as a holy grail, protecting us against both the coronaviruses we know about and the ones that could still strike in the future. This could help stop a future outbreak in its tracks before it spreads to pandemic proportions. Such a vaccine could save lives, keep society safe, prevent economic hardship. It would also mean we could cut down on current efforts where vaccine developers, regulators, and governments are continually updating, approving, coordinating the distribution of new variant-proof shots. And for those of you who are following bird flu, we're doing that right now. That's why CEPI has been so focused on this work. Today, we're the leading funder for broadly protective coronavirus vaccine research. And as access is truly at the heart of all of our efforts, we must be sure we're building something that can reach the people most in need. That's why we selected VIDO for this big undertaking. Their vaccine is heat stable, so it doesn't require complex cold chains. The thermostability could help us get future vaccine doses to hard-to-reach setting in low and middle-income countries. Together, as you can tell just from my short remarks, this is a really complex undertaking, but we all think it's scientifically feasible. That's why we're here. So by acting now, we can try to get ahead of coronaviruses and their variants before they evolve to get ahead of us. Our goal is to be sure that the world is never again hit by a coronavirus pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lurie, and thank you to CEPI for this massive investment in VIDO's research programs. VIDO truly has become a part of a global network of centers to protect humanity against the threat of next infectious disease, pandemic, or epidemic. So really appreciated what CEPI is doing in partnership with us. Next, I would like to invite the Honorable Minister Terry Duguid, Minister for Prairie Economic Development Canada. Minister Duguid is an elected MP from Winnipeg South. He previously was Parliamentary Secretary to the Prime Minister's Office, leading the file on water. It was in that capacity I had the privilege of traveling with the Minister to United Nations for a global summit on water about 18 months ago. So he did quite a bit of work on that. Minister has a passionate belief that science should be used for the benefit of communities and societies. And through that, he has led efforts for environmental work. He has led efforts to secure the future of the Churchill Port and also the rail line that runs north in Manitoba. Minister has a BSc from Carleton and an MSc from Calgary. We welcome him into the Rough Rider land, although I'm sure he supports Blue Bombers. Welcome, Minister.
Thank you. Thank you. Bonjour tout le monde. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Singh, for that warm welcome. The last time I came to Saskatchewan, I met with one of the local Indigenous groups, and I was wearing a bomber's scarf, and they warned me, you better take that off, or you're going to be in big trouble. But thank you, Dr. Singh, for just all of the great work that you do at the University of Saskatchewan, and we really are giants in the world in the areas of infectious diseases, water, agriculture, and you have so much to be proud of here at USask. It's wonderful to be here as the mayor points her camera at me in beautiful Saskatoon. I truly love this city. It is such a wonderful city where you have preserved your riverbanks, and the low scale of downtown development is just so inviting, and I always look forward to coming back here, and congratulations on your election, Mayor Block, and wonderful to be with MLA Martins. She's got a town named after her. I want to attend Martinsville, and she represents Martinsville. I think that must be a key to election for you, but. And most of all, I'm just really, really delighted to be back at VIDO. I've been coming here for years. I have probably a 20-year history with VIDO, and have watched VIDO grow and just become such a global player in infectious diseases research and development, particularly as it relates to vaccines. And some of you will know that I was involved in the infectious diseases biz post-SARS from 2003 to 2010. I was involved with the International Center for Infectious Diseases based in Winnipeg. I was the CEO for much of that time, working with the late Frank Plummer. We created the International Center for Infectious Disease, again, in the wake of SARS. It was a partnership organization in the infectious diseases space, public, private, academic, not-for-profit. And one of our partners was VIDO. And for part of my tenure, Lauren Babiak was our chair. And we had a very strong connection to this place. And one day, Lauren introduced us to the concept of InterVact, which was this very, very innovative model of vaccine development, particularly in the animal science space. And we all put our shoulder to the wheel, lobbied the government, and the rest is history. And of course, you've had many more victories since then, which I'm going to talk about in just a moment. But Lauren was, again, just such a giant in the space, a great teacher, a great researcher, and an entrepreneurial leader. And I know Volker Gertz and his team have done an incredible job and taken VIDO to new heights, which we're going to hear about today. There is one thing I'm just a little bit grumpy about, though I have to admit. And Doug Richardson thinks I'm going to, who is one of your champions, who called me just about weekly about your funding. So he does a great job for you, by the way. I hope that helps, Doug, for your future business there. But the director of this vaccine program that we're talking about today, Trina Racine, you lured to Saskatchewan from Manitoba, and let me tell you, we miss her deeply. She was a constituent of mine as well, and I know she's doing a great job for you and doing a great job for the country. Folks, only 5 short years ago, the COVID-19 pandemic ground the world to a halt, and in some ways, we are still recovering. It exposed vulnerabilities in global supply chains, highlighted the interdependence of economies, and underscored the need to rethink healthcare systems and disease prevention protocols. Canada and the world had to respond quickly and decisively, and central to this was making sure that Canada can produce vaccines to meet both our local needs and international demand, while positioning the country as a global leader in vaccine research and development. This wasn't just about addressing immediate challenges. It was about preparing for the future and positioning Canada at the forefront for the next wave of health innovations. VIDO has been a cornerstone of this effort. Today, we celebrate not just a milestone, but the power of collaboration between government, academia, and the private sector. Since 2020, the Government of Canada has invested over $124 million through Prairies Can, which is the ministry I represent, to support VIDO's growth into a world-class hub of research, development, and vaccine manufacturing capacity. This includes $30 million from Budget 2024, our most recent budget, just being announced today, by the way, so we're a little late off the draw. But this money was to establish the Center for Pandemic Research and in order to expand your holding facilities. These investments reflect more than just financial support. They're part of our government's broader strategy to promote prairie prosperity and economic development. VIDO, alongside the Level 4 lab here and the one at the Canadian Science Centre for Human and Animal Health in Winnipeg, where I come from, is a key player in advancing healthcare innovation in Canada. On the global stage, Canada is also stepping up, and we heard from Dr. Lurie just a few minutes ago, and we are very, very proud to be part of the partnership that she leads. But through Global Affairs Canada, we provided $100 million to the Coalition for Epidemic Preparedness Innocations, CEPI, to support its strategic plan to advance vaccine research and ensure equitable access. And today, get ready for the applause line, folks. And today, I am proud to announce a $24 million research grant from CEPI to assist VIDO with the development of a broad spectrum COVID vaccines, positioning Canada as a leader in health security while supporting groundbreaking innovations. $24 million. For our government, this is proof of our forward-thinking decisions made during the pandemic, that they were the right ones, and investments like these build on our plan for prairie prosperity and economic development in the region. To the leadership team, researchers, and scientists at VIDO, congratulations on this achievement. Your dedication will prevent the loss of life and hardship that we experienced only a few years ago. As we celebrate this milestone, I want to acknowledge the broader context that we're in right now, which is a very uncertain time. Saskatchewan's two-way trade with the United States accounts for 28.5% of the provincial economy. In 2023, Saskatchewan companies exported almost $30 billion worth of goods south of the border. Understandably, there has been a lot of concern about the proposed U.S. tariffs, which would affect businesses and institutions in this province in a profound way. This ongoing trade relationship has been part of the world's most successful partnership between our two countries. Canada will always advance opportunities to make North America safer and more competitive while defending Canadian interests. And let me be clear, should the U.S. government move forward with these tariffs, Canada will, as always, do what is best for Canada and Canadians. We will defend our interest and stand up for Canada. At the same time, we are not losing sight of the bigger picture. Global health security that VIDO is involved in, that CEPI is involved in, is a priority for governments worldwide, and the work being done here at VIDO is a shining example of Canada's role in that effort. Once again, to everybody at VIDO, Volker and your team, and the University of Saskatchewan, Dr. Singh, thank you for your vision, innovation, and commitment. I look forward to continuing to watch and support your contributions in the days, months, and years to come. Thank you. Miigwech. Merci.
Thank you, Minister Duguid. Your passion for science and how we can use science to create sustainable communities and sustainable economic enterprise is much appreciated. Thank you very much. Next, I'm going to introduce the Honorable Jimmy Martins, MLA for Martinsville-Blairmore. MLA Martins was elected last year to the legislature. Before that, she was the deputy mayor of the city of Martinsville. And before that, she was an auxiliary constable with RCMP and also served with the deputy sheriff's office in Regina. Jamie represented Saskatchewan in Federation of Canadian Municipalities, where she also was the vice chair of the Canadian Rural Forum to really advance the rural enterprise in our country and how we can support the rural communities. So that work was quite impressive that MLA Martins did. She, as the parliamentary secretary, is representing Government of Saskatchewan today with us and brings remarks on behalf of the Government of Saskatchewan. MLA Martins.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Dr. Singh, for the introduction. I'd like to welcome all guests and dignitaries who have joined us here today. I am Jamie Martins, the Provincial Secretary and MLA for Martinsville-Blairmore. I am pleased to be here on behalf of the Government of Saskatchewan and the Honourable Warren Keating, who's the Minister responsible for Innovation Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan has a world-class research community that is advancing innovative solutions to global challenges, helping to protect the future health, safety, and economic security of our communities. VIDO is a vital part of this effort, as its researchers continue to be global leaders in infectious disease and vaccine research. For over half a century, VIDO's unique mix of enterprise and infrastructure has been a forefront of innovation, and it continues to enhance these assets to strengthen Canada's preparedness to emergency threats. As part of the University of Saskatchewan, VIDO and fellow campus institutions like the Canadian Light Source, the Sylvia Fedoruk Centre for Canadian Nuclear Innovation, have benefited from the university's unparalleled commitment to supporting the advanced research. USask's reputation as one of the top research universities in Canada has increased Saskatchewan's capacity to attract and retain highly skilled researchers and develop the next generation of scientists right here in this province. By building and fostering this close-knit network of preeminent research institutions on campus, alongside Innovation Saskatchewan's technology and research park, we have laid an incredible foundation that will elevate Saskatchewan's leadership in life research and drive economic growth for our province. The Government of Saskatchewan is a proud supporter of VIDO. It's one of 6 partners supported by Innovation Saskatchewan. In 2024-25, the provincial government has provided over $4 million in annual operating funding to VIDO and continues to additionally fund and establish of VIDO's Canadian Centre for Pandemic Research in Saskatoon. In 2021, our government committed an additional $15 million to the project as ongoing support for this exceptional institution and its development of a Level 4 containment centre. I would like to thank Minister Duguid for your commitment here today to our province, as this funding from Prairies Can and CEPI will enable VIDO to broaden the research and impact of its Made in Saskatchewan solutions, showing our province is true research powerhouse, and the great ideas grow here in Saskatchewan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Parliamentary Secretary Martins, for your comments. As you have seen, there is support coming from a global funding body, from the federal government and the provincial government. I also want to acknowledge the support we receive from the City of Saskatoon. Mayor Block, thank you very much for the support we get from the city. Much appreciated. The fourth pillar, which I want to acknowledge, is Ron and Jane Graham. They are philanthropists. They support VIDO. They support College of Education, College of Engineering, our Huskies program. They are really formidable in their support of the university. It matters a lot to us when you come and visit and take interest in what we do. Thank you so very much. We are grateful for the support we get from you. Now it's my pleasure to invite my friend, Dr. Volker Gertz. He is the CEO of VIDO and a professor in College of Veterinary Medicine. Him and I began our careers nearly together at University of Saskatchewan. We continue to work together. He's a graduate of the veterinary school in Hanover, did his PhD there, came to VIDO, went back to Germany for a moment, then has been here. He became associate director and the CEO. He became director just before the pandemic. He not only enhanced VIDO's reputation as a critical component of protecting health of Canadians during the pandemic, he has also built an exceptional team of scientists and students and staff and leaders at VIDO. We are so proud of the work that Volker does locally, nationally, and globally. It's my pleasure to invite him to give his remarks. Volker.
Well, thanks, Beljit. Good morning, Minister Duguid, Secretary Martins, Mayor Block. Today is a really, really good day for VIDO. This is exactly what VIDO is all about. We just heard the announcement of the new vaccine, the $24 million for a vaccine that will not only protect us from today's coronaviruses, but also from tomorrow's coronaviruses. And this is what this organization is all about. It's about predicting what the future threats are. It's developing vaccines or therapeutics for these threats today and make sure that Canada in the future is better protected, whether it's an animal or a human disease. And so I'm really, really proud of this announcement today, working with CEPI, one of the world's largest organizations, as we heard, specifically focused on these new diseases. And so I really like to thank Dr. Lurie and CEPI, I'm not sure if she can still hear us, for this partnership that we have now established with CEPI, not only on this vaccine, but also on other projects, on other networks for manufacturing, for animal modeling, and so on. So really, really exciting for us to move forward in the future as Canada's Centre for Pandemic Research. But what I really wanted to do is actually give credit to the many, many researchers, and I'd like you to stand up, actually, that are working on this lab. Hello, can you please stand up? So we have a number of scientists involved in their labs. Daryl, come on, please, just for a moment. So we have many, many labs, and the scientists, the research technicians, and many students actually involved in this project. Our manufacturing group, I see Colin here, is involved in now making the vaccine in-house to be ready then to be clinically tested. Our animal care group, I see some of you here, helping us to do all the critical research that goes into development of this vaccine. Our project managers, our biosafety team, our operations team, they all play a very, very important part of this very large project, which is led by Trina Racine. And Minister, we are very, very happy that Trina has decided to come to Saskatoon rather than Winnipeg. Thank you very much, guys. But so I also wanted to thank then again the federal government, the provincial government, the municipal government, the city of Saskatoon, but also the many, many donors. And Dr. Singh mentioned the Grahams here, who have supported us very generously over the last few years to build this infrastructure that now makes this type of research even possible. And so when you walked in, I'm not sure how many of you saw, we're building out there a $100 million animal facility. And the whole purpose of this is to be able to essentially in the future to work with any kind of disease that is happening, whether it's an animal or a human disease, work with whatever the best model is to then develop vaccines to protect us from these diseases. At the same time, we already completed construction of our in-house manufacturing facility, and that will allow us then to develop these vaccines and even manufacturing them here in-house, saving time again, and as we know, time is what matters during pandemics. And the last element of this is to upgrade our containment to the highest level, to containment level 4, making VIDO one of the few organizations in the world that will have access to containment level 2, 3, 3+, and 4. We will be able in the future to work essentially with any relevant species from which we see these diseases emerge from, and we will be able to in-house manufacture these vaccines and take them immediately into clinical testing. And so this is what is really the vision for Canada's Centre for Pandemic Research. This is where it all comes together, and I really like to thank you all for your support, our donors, all levels of government, and also the University of Saskatchewan. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Volker. This is great. Your leadership makes a difference. Really a stellar community you have built at VIDO that delivers great science every day. So you see, all the way from our philanthropists, from the City Hall to the provincial government, to the federal government, to a global funding body, that's what it takes to create a VIDO over 50-year period, to have it become a critical part of the global health research system so that we can protect humanity from the threat of the infectious disease. In many quarters of the world, the discussion from the pandemic has moved on as if it was many years ago. This is not going to happen again. But let me remind you, in some corners of the world, it's still, the discussion is very active. I was coming from Germany yesterday. I was at the airport just looking into a bookstore, and I picked up a newspaper, Frankfurter Allgemeine, and I know 10 words of German. And the front page, full page story is for der nächsten Pandemie, for the next pandemic. Darauf sind wir nicht vorbereitet. We are not prepared. Here is the front page story from Sunday's Sonnenzeitung in Berlin. Full page story as to what we need to do to be really prepared. So the role of the VIDO in making that happen is so critical. Thank you so very much for taking the time, the Honorable Minister, Terry Duguid, Honorable Jamie Martins, Volker Gertz, Your Worship, Ron Jane, for everyone for being here this morning. Let's big round of applause to everyone.